What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Foot and Fist Sports Network. I'm finally starting to get some momentum back, getting back into the swing of making videos all the time. My gaming channel should be coming back soon as well. I'm starting off a little thing. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a teaser. It's going to be called the Ugly Fuck Fighting Championship, the UFC. I have some very interesting characters created in EA UFC 2, and I hope you guys will tune into that. When that does come out, you will definitely see some trailers from it on this channel, so make sure you check that out. I will leave the link in the description down below if you want to go ahead and subscribe. That way, once the videos do come up, you'll be able to see them. But let's go ahead and talk about the UFC card from this coming weekend, which is Mark Hunt versus Derrick Lewis. Also on the card is Derrick Brunson versus Daniel Kelly. And let's go ahead and jump right into the predictions. Starting off with Daniel Kelly versus Derrick Brunson. And personally, I do agree with Joe Rogan, which he said on the Fight Companion, is that Daniel Kelly, with his unorthodox style and how weird he is, and with his knee braces and stuff like that, he definitely could beat just about anybody in that division when it comes to guys that are 6th and down. I think that once they get into the top 5, maybe that's a bit overzealous for him. But other than that, I think those guys from like 6th on, I think that's definitely within his range. And I think that Derrick Brunson definitely is a guy he could beat. The thing is, Derrick Brunson has been taking on guys that are at a much higher level than Daniel Kelly is for much longer. You know, he just went toe-to-toe with Anderson Silva, and yes, Anderson won, but realistically, if you saw that fight, I'm pretty sure you have a very hard time actually justifying giving the win to Anderson. Like, in my opinion, yes, it wasn't a fun fight. Derrick Brunson didn't do very much, but he did do more than Anderson Silva. He was more accurate, and I think he was pushing the pace a bit more. So overall, I would say Derrick Brunson won at least 2 of those rounds. So realistically, I think he's the guy that won the fight. But a lot of times, I think it was also in Brazil, so a lot of times these judges give it to whoever the fuck they want. And that was kind of disappointing, but at the end of the day, who gives a shit? Everybody knows who won, and either way, there was no really winning in that fight because there was such a bad performance from both guys. Personally, I think that fight did show, though, that Derrick Brunson, even with Anderson Silva not being in the peak form and not being the Anderson Silva of his prime, that showed that he still can go toe-to-toe with some of the best guys in the world at 185. So I think Daniel Kelly is going to be the guy that has most of the thing, pretty much has an uphill battle to win. And I think that Derrick Brunson is going to get the decision. I don't think it's going to be a very dominant fight, but I do think it'll be like a split decision, maybe even winning a 3-rounder, winning all 3 rounds, but I don't think it's going to be, a dominant win. I think it's going to be a very close fight. And overall, Daniel Kelly has this weird ability to make fights look ugly and make fighters look bad, even though they are actually pretty damn good. So I think that's probably going to happen with Derrick Brunson as well. It's going to be a decent fight, I think, but nothing to really write home about. The main event, though, is going to be a fucking barn burner. Derrick Lewis versus Mark Hunt. And I haven't looked at who the favorites are because I prefer to make my judgments and my picks based on who I think is actually going to win, not looking at what maybe the betting odds favor. Having some of those things sort of corrupt my thoughts about the fight. I prefer to analyze them based on their performances and based on the stats and things like that, rather than looking at odds and then going with maybe the gambler's mentality. Personally, I think that Mark Hunt is going to have to be the favorite. I don't know if he is. I would expect Derrick Lewis is probably going to be the favorite, maybe a slight favorite because of who was beaten recently, like Travis Brown. But I think that if you look at Mark Hunt's recent history in the UFC, he's only lost to world championship level opponents. Stipe Miocic, Junior Dos Santos, Alistair Overeem, Fabricio Verdum. These are all guys at the very top of their game, and Brock Lesnar as well. Even though Brock Lesnar was completely pumped full of steroids, and he looked like a prune in that one, so he was just fucking full of who knows what the fuck was in his body. So that's kind of a hard thing to give to Mark Hunt. I personally don't count it, but I think that either way, he probably would have lost that fight no matter what against Brock Lesnar. But either way, he's only lost to world championship caliber fighters. So will Derrick Lewis be able to beat him? I personally don't think so. I think it's going to be a very fun fight. It's going to be a very close fight while it lasts. I think Mark Hunt will knock him out. If you look at Derrick Lewis's fight against Roy Nelson, it was a very tough fight for Derrick Lewis, and Mark Hunt absolutely demolished Roy Nelson. And obviously, MMA math is never something you want to do because of how things usually go in the UFC. Like, this one guy could beat that guy, but he can't beat the other guy. But I think that at the end of the day, Mark Hunt and Roy Nelson are very similar fighters. Derrick Lewis had a very hard time against Roy Nelson, and Mark Hunt is a much better version of Roy Nelson. So I think that he will get the knockout. Probably like 3rd or 4th round. It's going to be one hell of a barn burner, though. And I think it's going to be one of those fights that probably is going to make watching the entire card worth it. But other than that, it's a pretty shit card, I have to say. The UFC do not stack these cards up when they go to Australia and then when they go to New Zealand. I mean, I don't understand what they're doing with these kind of cards. Like, I get it. They have a lot of people on that roster. They have a lot of people to pay and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, when you have to make these cards, you have to at least give viewers a reason to watch it. And yes, the main event's good and the co-main event is okay, but there's really nothing to this card other than that. Like I said, I think Mark Hunt's gonna put on a highlight reel knockout, and I think Derrick Lewis has a lot to do in this weight class. I think that he has a ton of potential. He has a bright future ahead of him, but right now I don't think he's ready for Mark Hunt. I think he's gonna get knocked out, and because his biggest win, I think, is Travis Brown. And yes, Travis Brown is a good fighter, but I think Mark Hunt would murder him as well. So I think at the end of the day, Mark Hunt's just at a better spot in his career. Derrick Lewis is on the rise. Mark Hunt's on the downfall. But at the end of the day, Mark Hunt is still the better fighter. I think you should definitely check that fight out. I would probably, if I were you, depending on what time it is, I think it's gonna be like probably 3 or 4 in the morning where I'm gonna watch, but I'll be at work. I work nights anyway, so who cares? I'll be watching that. But if you are gonna be staying up all night, I probably would skip it and watch it in the morning. That's my recommendation to you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel. Please share with any friends that you think might be interested. Like I said, please check out the gaming channel that'll be coming up very soon. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video, which will probably be the Fight Fallout show, talking about what happened in this card. There will also be some more football-related content coming out, which is soccer for you more, I guess you could say, American speakers, because I'm American, but I prefer to call it football. I think soccer is kind of an atrocious word for it, but whatever. It is what it is. So make sure you guys check that out. Obviously, I'll be talking about Manchester United season review. I'm a huge United fan. I want to talk about what they did. I'll be talking about going up against Real Madrid in the Super Cup. I think we're gonna get fucked up, but I'll tell you exactly why. And all the transfer news when things start to get kicking off. That will all be in this channel. So make sure you guys check that out, and I will see you then.